Is now.
Easy now.
Oh, look, we've actually got it working.
I know, mate. What a struggle. I'm sorry about that.
Guys, welcome back to the Drive Talk podcast. The reason we are chuckling is for those of you who follow regularly, you will note we didn't put a podcast out last week. And the reason we didn't is technology let us down. We tried, even though I was in I nearly said Singapore then, I was in Seoul in South Korea and Joe was at home. We had internet problems, but it wasn't my end. It was Joe's internet was just poor.
And it continues to be poor. And that's why I'm now sitting in a car park at Silverstone in a very comfortable living room / M5. But yeah, apologies about that, everyone. I think my broadband supplier is Now TV, and I'm sure a lot of people can feel my pain. Trying to actually get hold of a human being to talk through how we can fix this problem is impossible. Yeah, anyone that can help, please drop me a DM or something.
Yeah, we need a brand deal. We need a broadband provider brand deal for Joe. I think you're being done over by contention ratio. You've got a new neighbour moved in. They could well be on the same provider. I think that's your problem because your downlink's fine, but it's your uplink isn't good enough.
Well, there you
unfortunately, even though this amazing platform we use records at either end in high quality video and audio, you can't have a conversation if the other person keeps freezing and there's a big delay. It's just impossible. So we did try.
We tried 4 times properly.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say, because there was an 8-hour time difference. So it was at one point I was in my hotel room late at night, having been drinking most of the evening. It would have been a hysterical podcast because I was 3 sheets to the wind. But anyway.
It is what it is. We're back.
We are here. Now, we have got a really hot topic to talk about this week. And it's an electric car related topic. So Joe's really excited about it. But I think the wider consequences of what's happening at the moment, both on the global economy scale, but also here in the UK, are massive and could have a massive impact. So the two things we kind of want to talk about, which are highly related, and I'm not sure which one's best to go first. So I think we'll talk about like the what's happening in the UK first, is changes to the zero emission vehicle mandate, ZEV mandate, which dictates the proportion of cars that manufacturers make that need to be full battery electric compared with hybrid and internal combustion engine. And the government have made changes to that ZEV mandate to try and mitigate some of the impact on the new tariffs that are being imposed by the US. Sounds like a really dull topic, but I don't think it is. There's so much to unpack, isn't there?
There is a lot to unpack, and I think there's a lot to understand within that, which I'll put my hands up now and just say I don't fully understand all of it, and I genuinely think that the people that are putting all of these rules in place also don't have a clue what they're doing.
I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, so I think it's just everyone's sort of a bit up in the air about it at the moment, and I'm sure it's going to continue to change over the next few years. But yeah, where do we start?
Well, I guess the first thing probably we should say is whether you agree with it or not is almost, as in the ZEV mandate, is almost irrelevant because it's happening. And the impact that has on the car manufacturers, and we have talked about this on the podcast before, but this year, according to the rules set out in the ZEV mandate, I think it's 28% of all cars manufactured need to be full battery electric. And for every car that misses that target, a manufacturer has to pay a fine. And that fine up until now was £15,000. And the first thing that the government have done is said that they're going to reduce that fine to £12,000. Woo.
I mean, what difference does that make? Like in the big scheme of things, it's just ridiculous.
I mean, it's such a token gesture. It's just, I mean, I read that, I went, really? The challenge, I think, though, is that a lot of the manufacturers hit their targets last year. Yeah, right, in their press releases. Yeah, we hit our ZEV mandate targets, but a lot of that was done by either pre-registering vehicles at the end of the year, and then that scuppers them in the first couple of months of the year because they've got to shift them as used stock, or buying credits from pure electric manufacturers like Tesla. The challenge that's going to have this year is, I mean, we might get onto this a bit later, but Tesla at the moment are in a world of hurts for a number of reasons, which, you know, are fairly obvious to anyone who's looked at any news in the last, I don't know, 100 days or so. But are Tesla going to be in a position to sell those credits off to other manufacturers and stuff? I don't know. But the £15,000 down to £12,000, I don't think that's even going to scratch the surface.
No, I mean, it just it seems like a super. It just seems like they've made that up to just get something out, and
it's a good headline.
Yeah, a headline, exactly. That's it. Make a headline about it. I can't see how that's going to change or really help anyone, manufacturer or the end customer.
Not that one, because I don't think many manufacturers actually paid fines last year.
No.
So this year, and again, the challenge with the comms that have been put out and press releases and stuff is they're so thin on the ground of detail. It's got difficult to work out exactly what's happening. I believe the 28% target this year is being reduced a little bit to kind of help the manufacturers, and also the targets around hybrids are changing a little bit as well. Because and again, if you go back, obviously we've got a relatively new government in the UK. The previous government had said they were going to change the ZEV mandate and push the final deadline from 2030 out to 2035. And then this government came in and went, no, that's a bad idea. We're going to bring it back to 2030. And now they're saying, well, we're going to do 2030, but we'll let you build hybrids out beyond that to 2035. And the targets for vans and commercial vehicles, we'll move those a little bit out to 2035. And my problem with that is it's the not knowing. You've probably talked to manufacturers on press trips and stuff. And I was talking to one a couple of months ago, and they said that the worst thing is not knowing. Just draw a line in the sand, say that's what it's going to be, and that's it. The end. Don't change it, because what we'll do is we'll change strategies and development cycles and product lines, and we'll adapt manufacturing facilities for that target, and then you go and bloody move it. And then we've already put stuff in place.
Well, I think the idea from day one, and I've made that very clear for the last sort of whatever 6, 7, 8 years, the whole idea was too far-fetched and madness from the start. In my opinion, it was and isn't doing much to save the environment. We haven't shown that. All we've shown is that electric cars don't sell particularly well. They depreciate massively, and most people that buy them end up going back into a combustion engine car, which, you know, these days are extremely clean. And hybrids, I mean, hybrids, again, it's like I'm sitting in a 2.5 ton M5 hybrid. Have I plugged it in once in the time that I've had it? No. And if I had a charger at home, would I have plugged it in? Probably a little bit, but I'm still doing about 13 miles to the gallon. So it just that you know, where I'm sitting.
And that's because you've got a really heavy right foot, though.
It's also because this has got a V8 and it weighs 2.5 tons. So just that in its own is just, if you think about it, it's just madness, really, isn't it? It's like these sort of things are going to be all right for the next 10 years, but actually, this is, in my opinion, this new M5. They've built and designed this car to tick the boxes that our governments are asking, but actually, what's happening is, it's causing more harm to the environment. It's digging up and giving us more potholes because it weighs so much. And I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but I just think the whole thing is just, and that's why I don't think they have drawn any kind of a line. But the problem is, and we've talked about this a few times already, is like really efficient manufacturers like Porsche, who are very German in their thinking and development, have got everything lined up exactly how how they were forecast to do, and everything was meant to be. But that's now come and bit them in the arse a bit, because, or even more so now, if things start getting pushed back, and as we know, they're sort of pedaling back a bit and reintroducing. A lot of the manufacturers are suddenly going, oh well, we're going to continue with, and as we've talked about so many times on this pod, all you can do is feel sorry for the manufacturers, especially because they've all had to move heaven and earth to produce these electric cars in such a short space of time that are incredible. Like, I had the new Macan the other day, and yes, I am saying this, and I know you've driven it many times already, Ben. It's an incredible piece of kit, absolutely amazing. But I'd rather have, your GTS with a combustion engine in it.
GCS.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
yes. But yeah, and that's only just because I guess that the infrastructure and the cost of electricity and everything when you're on the move is just so inflated, and makes it doesn't make your life. I still think owning and running an EV, in my circumstances, doesn't make my life easier. And I've always, you own a car or a motorbike, which we might get onto in a minute, to make life easier for you. And in most instances, when I have an EV, because I'm probably not the perfect person or stereotype to own one demographic, it's still a pain in many scenarios. But yeah, going back to the changing and the moving it around, I mean, it's just it seems, obviously there's been a big decision made out in the States about tariffs that has then caused like tremors everywhere else, understandably, because there's such a big market for Europe, especially European cars. But how many more times is that going to change and move around? And it just seems, it looks like nobody knows really what's going on. None of these politicians, the majority of them anyway, they wouldn't know what a car was if it hit them in the face. I wish with some of them it would hit them in the face, but not kill them, just wake them up a little bit, obviously. But yeah, it's just it's annoying and frustrating for us watching it all happening. But once again, for manufacturers, I can't even imagine what that'd be like.
I think that what they've tried to do is legislate their way out of a problem, right? It's quite interesting whether you agree or not about man-made climate change. I'm definitely in the camp where I think our presence on Earth is changing things negatively. Whether the move to all electric fixes that, I doubt it, because there's other pollutants, power stations, or heavy vehicles, or cruise ships, or aeroplanes, or there's loads of things that contribute to negatively to the environment. But I think in hindsight, what should have been done, and unfortunately, thanks to Mr. Boris Johnson, he just decided to legislate and create this ZEV mandate and say by 2030 we won't make petrol cars anymore. What they should have done is just made electric cars so good that people want to buy them, and then it's a meritocracy then. And then for people who, there are people like yourself where an EV doesn't work, and if it's normally someone who's doing a lot of miles or long journeys, then they become. It's not that they don't work. You can of course do a long journey with an EV. It just takes planning, and it's a pain in the arse sometimes. I was talking to someone in a car park today. I parked the ST up because I've got the 911 ST this week up outside Waitrose, and this guy was looking at the car, and we ended up talking about electrics and stuff. I said, look, if you're doing 100 to 150 miles a day and you can park off street at home and charge it at home, and you're not running an electric car, you're probably a bit of an idiot, really, because there are pennies to be saved, especially if you choose the right car for the right job. The challenge I've got...
Sorry.
No. I was going to say that the challenge with the mandate, it's in place now, and the manufacturers are hurting, and I feel sorry for them too, and it's only going to get worse. And it would have been challenging for them anyway, had that just been the only problem they've got to deal with. The problem they've now got to deal with is a tariff war globally, that is, for me, going to absolutely screw somebody over really badly. And that is the last thing that the manufacturers needed right now and us as consumers needed right now. And I think the implications of what's happening at the moment will be significant. So, we're already hearing stories that Land Rover are going to, at the moment, suspend shipments of cars to the US. VAG Group are going to do the same thing because their cars are suddenly 25% more expensive than they were 2 weeks ago. So that they are, and the reason I mentioned Land Rover, and maybe the same for Mini, is they're made in the UK by British people with British jobs. And if they're not shipping those cars, then that's going to hit the bottom line of that business. VAG Group, Volkswagen, they're in trouble anyway. If they suddenly lose a massive market like America, what impact's that going to have?
Yeah, it's I mean, like you said, it's almost like the last 3 or 4 years have been struggle street anyway for the automotive industry, for the individuals, for all of us. We're all watching our pounds and pennies, making sure we build our garages the right way around and put doors on there, put doors on that are big enough. No, but yeah. So in that sense, it couldn't have come at a worse time. I think if we step back a second and have a look, I've talked about over the years the fact that America has actually, if you wanted to buy an M3 or an Audi RS car, as 2 examples, you'd usually pay about 10% less in the States than you would over here, or you would in Germany. So I've always had a bit of a problem with that, because why should we, or the Germans especially, be paying more than the Americans? I'm talking about if you did a direct exchange rate. And so if you look at it like that, then now they'll be paying 10, 12, maybe 15%, not sure how it works out, more, which in my head sits about right, because they're on the other side of the world, or, they're a long way away. And especially when you compare it to places like Ireland, which we know, they pay through the nose over there. Places like Australia, this M5 in Australia, I think they're about $300,000. No, I think they're more, maybe 350. So we're talking 150, 170,000 pounds. So they're paying an extra 40 or 50 grand. So as the Australians, even after what the States are doing, the Australian M5 customer is still going to be paying substantially more than someone in America. And I'm not defending what's going on in the States, but I think there's going to be certain clientele and customers, the M5 customer, the JLR customer, who wants their $200,000 Range Rover, that will still go ahead and buy that car if it does cost them an extra 25%. But it will be, again, companies like Mini, Volkswagen Group. It will be the more affordable and, surprise, surprise, let's say not working class, but middle class, working class people with an ordinary budget, not an extreme budget, who are going to suffer once again. And that just seems to be the story of the world economy over the last 5 years, isn't it? Like, it's the middle men and women that seem to be really struggling with everything. But yeah, so it'll be
that's okay though, because the Americans can just buy American cars that are made in America. Oh no, hold on, they're not. They're made in Mexico most of the time, aren't they?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, they're made with the aluminium that comes from Canada. Yeah. Oh yeah. Apart from that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought the American.
Well, no, you could buy a Tesla, but oh no, they're made in China. Yeah.
They're made all over the place, aren't they, Teslas? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? How does the logistics and the logic of that all work with the Tesla example? That's crazy. But
the Chinese tariffs like 60-odd%. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the big thing is iPhones then in the US have suddenly got 68% more expensive because they're all made in China.
Wow.
So have Macs.
Yeah.
So have Nike trainers.
I mean, everything's made in China or Taiwan, and once again, I know we've talked about this in the pod over the years, that when we were kids, everything you pick up, everything, no matter what it was always made in China or Taiwan. you know, so, and nothing's really changed in that sense, but trying to just make bigger things and pretty much everything now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And where that we obviously had the pod recently where we're talking about new Chinese manufacturers. Now they're clearly the American market's going to be closed off for them for the moment because of the tariffs. But if the European manufacturers are struggling to selling into America and start having problems, and at the same time as that, they're under attack by the Chinese sending over cheaper EVs, it's a perfect storm for something to go horribly wrong, unfortunately.
Yep.
So yeah. So anyway, we could moan on about that for the rest of the pod, but I thought, slight change of subject. I sent you that Instagram thing I found this morning about the profit margin in some manufacturers, and it just freaked me out completely. So apparently, and again, I'm always going to take these things with a slight pinch of salt because you have to kind of fully research it and fact find and stuff. But apparently, in 2024, Ferrari were the most profitable company in terms of the profit margin they make per vehicle. Okay, and this is the incredible number. For every car they delivered, the average profit margin was 136,700 euros. Just shy of 140,000 euros profit per car.
That is, I mean, when you go ahead and give some other figures in a sec, that just thinking about that number, it's before you kind of said that, if it was just they made more profit, as in the number was bigger than, let's say, a BMW, then you'd be like, okay, well, that makes sense because they're like £500,000 cars on average or whatever. Yeah. But actually, it's not just the number; it's the percentage, if you work out, of that car sold that's huge as well, isn't it? I mean, I wonder what the average price of a new Ferrari is.
Now, there's a really good question. But if you think about, so 296, which is Roma would be their entry-level car. They're like a couple of hundred grand. 296, I don't know, plus 300 plus. Here's the most important thing, plus options. And it's the options that are going to be like, it's a bit like, I remember years ago, I saw a paper written about McDonald's. In fact, there was a film made. It was called The Men That Made Us Fat. And it was about the guy at McDonald's who invented supersizing, go large.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And at the time, I think the price of going large for a McDonald's Big Mac meal was like 30 pence, right? Where you get a few extra chips and a little bit more Coke. And of the 30 pence that you get charged for those extra things, 28 pence was pure profit.
Wow.
It was just, and that's why McDonald's till attendants are enforced. They are told, you must say, do you want to go large? Do you want fries with that? And it's the same thing for manufacturers, car manufacturers. The options list, where you select £30,000 worth of carbon fibre trim, or a £22,000 paint job, or a £10,000 shield on the side of the car. That's where that profit comes in. So let's say just under 140,000 euros of profit per car. The second most profitable brand is Porsche, right? Which kind of makes sense. They're pretty good at the options. I've got that ST at the moment. It's got a £15,000 interior heritage pack, which is drop dead gorgeous and worth every penny. But here's the scary thing. So Porsche, right? They have to sell 7.5 vehicles to match that profit. So they make £140,000 profit across 7.5 cars.
Yep.
And then Mercedes, 24 cars. But then if you go down to Stellantis, Stellantis is the likes of Vauxhall, Peugeot, Jeep, Alfa Romeo, that kind of thing. Stellantis need to sell 208 cars to make the same profit.
That is just crazy, isn't it? And it gets
So,
worse, doesn't it?
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd imagine there's some horrible ones. What's the? Let me.
Well, we got yeah.
Nissan 484 cars. Oh my god. BMW. Here's a BMW's 29 cars.
Yep.
So they're
Yep.
fourth on the list.
Yep.
Even someone like Tesla that are hailed as being, super profitable, they've got to sell 36 cars.
Yep.
And then the worst one is Great Wall. Now, they are Chinese EV car manufacturer. Now, I guess the challenge for the Chinese, but actually BYD is 88 cars. So BYD are still more profitable than Renault, Suzuki, Ford, Mitsubishi, Mazda, Stellantis, Nissan. So they're doing pretty good. But Great Wall, they have to sell 728 cars to make the same amount of profit. And margins are that tight. So yeah, I just found that's an unbelievable bit of story.
I mean, yeah, you would always expect that Ferrari. We all know they sell a lot less cars than even someone like Porsche. Because they're obviously super high end, super premium. Like you said a second ago, the Roma starts, I don't know, 200 grand. So it's a much smaller target audience. So you kind of expect that, but I would never have expected on average 140,000 euro profit.
No.
It's just that's just absurd.
I mean, what I'd love to see is a breakdown of the cars, because if you think that the high end stuff like Purosangue, a decently spec Purosangue is into the £400,000, right? So at that rate, you're looking at a quarter of that is profit, pretty much, roughly speaking, which kind of, I don't know, 25% profit margin. Yeah, just phenomenal. So on the one hand, we've just been saying about how we're feeling sorry for car brands and stuff.
Yeah.
But Ferrari are making that kind of profit. However, and it is a really big however, the premium brands, I think, going back to the tariff thing, if the global economy takes a dive like everybody says it's going to, that's going to hit. Well, maybe some of these people are immune to ups and downs. They'll be shorting stocks and making money on the fortune of others. Maybe it won't affect them so much. But I think the discretional purchase of a nice new car could be something that is affected. So maybe that will affect car sales as well. But yeah, hats off to the Ferrari finance team.
Yeah, very, very impressive. It's a really.
Have you been around Maranello, around the factory?
No.
I mean, I am a bit of I love going around car factories. Having done a degree in manufacturing engineering and my early job was designing factories. The Ferrari factory is something to behold. It's phenomenal. It's so well oiled and so slick. It's really, really cool. Which is
it massive? Is it huge? Do you know what is their turnover? How many cars do they make?
I don't know how many they make, to be honest. I mean, it's not. I went round Wolfsburg with VW, and their potential daily output of cars is in the many thousands. They can make 5,000 cars a day or something ridiculous.
Wow.
But yeah, so they don't do that at the moment, by the way. So I don't know what their daily run rate is.
I've just Googled that Ferrari delivered a record 13,752 cars in 2024. And 51% of those are hybrids. Well, I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it? Because a lot of them are hybrids now.
That'd be 296 SF90.
SF90, yeah. Is it Purosangue? No, Purosangue isn't.
No, Sene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. Wow. So that's like over 1,200 cars a month or something. 1,300, something like that. 1,200. So it's a lot of cars.
It's a lot of that kind of high end cars for sure. I mean,
what's
next? Are we gonna mention this highest depreciating EV while we're on the subject of EVs? Is that one for this podcast, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Again, this is another Instagram gem. This dude, what's Blake Sandberg, his name is, but he put a reel up. There was Rimac Nevera on was it Craigslist, I think, in the States.
Yep.
And it didn't sell. The highest bid was just under 1.3 million US dollars. But the car new was like 2.3, $2.4 million. So basically saying that if we were talking, we've had pods before about the most depreciating cars, and everyone gets upset when we said it was the 8 Series BMW. That's got to be one of the highest depreciating cars in terms of amount of money lost. £1 million.
And it's unsold.
It didn't sell. So his argument, which I agree, okay, it didn't sell, so you can't say that. But then it didn't sell because the owner will have had a reserve on the car, right? And he's not going to let it go for too less. But something's only worth what someone's prepared to pay for it, and clearly that they were only prepared to pay that. So you can have whatever reserve you like, but
Matty Rimac didn't, because they pulled the plug on that early, didn't they? I think they had a certain amount they were going to sell, and then recently, I think last year, they announced that they're just not selling anymore, and they didn't sell as many as they thought. And but again, I think that's another. In my head, it's like the richer you are, especially if you're talking about, you got budget for millions on a car. Why would anyone in their right mind? And I know there'll be maybe one person in the comments. But why would, seriously, even if you like electric car, why would you go and spend $2.5 million on an electric car? Like, who cares? You show your mates, so look how fast it is, and that's it. And it's kind of.
I mean, that Top Gear one where they had the Nivera, it was the Nivera, wasn't it? Against,
yes.
Who did they have it running against?
La Ferrari, was it?
Oh, mate, that was unbelievable. The turn of pace was just absolutely incremible.
Yeah, I'm sure that would just make me. I'd throw up probably in my helmet if I was. I mean, anything below 3 seconds now, I feel a bit like I get lightheaded.
It's funny because I went round Goodwood in a Taycan Turbo GT the other week.
Oh yes,
and I'm a really good passenger. I don't get ill in cars at all generally. And we only did 3 laps, and by the end of it, I felt really poorly. And I think it's to do with the G-forces applied to your body, but there's no accompanying sound or drama or vibrations.
Yep.
And I'm sure that that the sound and stuff just helps prepare your body for what's about to come. In an electric car, you just get to a corner, go around it, and then accelerate away, and your body's going, where did that come from?
Yep.
And it was being driven by a proper peddler as well. She was very, very quick. And
was it Abby Eaton? Or was it?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
Yes, and typical proper racing driver driving round, like she's on like 8 tenths. My body's going flipping out. This is like 12 tenths.
Yeah,
and just chatting away as she's, have you been in one of these before? And I'm like, keep your eye on the road, love. You're coming up to this corner, 150. I want to go around it and have dinner later on this evening with my wife. It'd be great.
Yeah.
No, it did.
Wait. So are you at home having dinner with your wife sometimes, Ped? Because I don't when.
I
mean the 2 times a year. Yeah.
All right, I went away 2 weeks running. Okay. That's the next pod. We've got to have a catch up. What we've been up to. So what's next? What we got? We've done depreciation. We've done.
This is a really positive pod.
ZEV mandate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
misery, but it's life.
It is, and I think it will be interesting to see what happens this year. I think.
Hey, on the plus side, and this is something we have mentioned, we keep putting it in our group chat to talk about on the podcast, and we haven't as yet. But on a plus side, let's finish this pod on a plus.
Yay! Woo!
Insurance costs, car and motorbike insurance has, and I'm not going to shout.
I'm just looking around in case
someone hears me. But it's actually gone. Well, in my case, it's gone down, and a lot of people I've spoken to, it's gone down. It's the first time I've had a renewal on my car. Normally, if I get an automatic renewal, then I'll go and just double check, because it will go up a bit, and it's like, let's just check. Okay, everything's gone up. That's about right. but this year it went down at more like 15% or something. So I just thought,
Wow.
that's bizarre. And then obviously, which we'll talk about on next week's podcast, bike insurance, that's also come down dramatically. So I mean, that's quite positive. And I know you work with an insurer, Lockton, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now,
Which are like high end stuff.
they are, yeah, they're kind of, they work with the likes of Porsche Club GB and Ferrari Owners Club and Aston Martin.
Oh yes.
But yeah, no, it's interesting because my premium this year, I've just got it, but it's a bit difficult to compare to last year because my cars have changed.
Yes.
So I've got because I've still got the Mini, and they're all on a group policy. I've got the Mini, and then the Boxster's gone, but the Macan's come in.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything else? Any other changes there? Or?
Next pod.
Next pod. Oh, okay, right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then there will be another.
We can't talk about that yet.
No, not yet. And then they interestingly Lockton also insure the barn and the house.
Okay.
Because maybe there's a podcast on just insurance in general, but one of the things I would say is insurance rates, if they've come down, that's great. I still know a lot of people who are probably massively underinsured because rates have been so high. People have tended to either not declare everything or under egg the value of something, or if it was a car, maybe not declare all the modifications or whatever it might be to try and get cheaper prices, or go to a cheaper insurer, and then that's all great until it goes peak tong and you need to make a claim. So I think there is I found it very interesting when we came to insure the barn and the house. We got it assessed by Lockton, and we were underinsured by a frightening amount.
Wow.
Probably by half. It was terrifying.
Maybe that was that the policy for the smaller doors, or?
Yeah. Well, now the bigger doors, because there's more wood on them, they cost more, so they're more expensive to insure.
Before, the doors are so small that you couldn't steal the car because you couldn't get it out because the doors are too small.
You get it in, but I'm happy to report I've managed. I've not yet found anything that doesn't fit in the garage.
Good.
They all fit. It's all good.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. No, it's like I take the piss. I love
your bed there. Look.
I know. I just want a place
with a dog fast asleep on it.
Keep me it warm. Beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah.
We should thank our sponsors, Michelin UK.
Indeed.
Of course, for the continued support. And I bought one prop back there. We got a Michelin Bibendum pillow. Yay!
I've got mine around here. Look. So yeah. Brilliant. So these are we're gonna do a slightly shorter one this time round. So instead of an hour, you're only getting I don't know how long we've been going actually. About
35 minutes, 40 minutes.
40 minutes. We shouldn't just go on for the sake of going on, probably.
No.
Your battery might run out on your laptop. When are you going to get?
Well, yeah.
Done, mate?
It's not the battery. It's my laptop's getting quite warm. but I've got the aircon. I've discovered one really good thing about this car is I've got the ignition on the whole time, but obviously it's not running. The engine's not running. It's just using the electric power. So I've got a nice breeze of air conditioning here, and I actually discovered that this center armrest is air conditioned. So I've left my phone in there because I'm tethering off my phone. You know how hot the phones can get when you're tethering off them, especially this sort of level. So no, it's all right. It's really nice. I'm enjoying this. Like I couldn't wish for more. Unfortunately, on the way down here, and I know I told you this off camera, Ped, but the frustrations of not being able to get a podcast working last week and the week before, or was it just all last week? Anyway, I was driving down here and I was like, well, at least we're going to get the pod done. And I managed to curb a wheel on this car. And I haven't curbed a wheel since, I think, 2018, when I was like a full-time busy chauffeur in London. And that was just something that happened a couple of times a year. You just, road narrow things and all the rest of it. But yeah, and it's just the worst. The worst
sound?
feeling. Oh, the sound, the feeling. It's like It's like a crunchy grind. Oh, it's horrible. I haven't even been out. I purposely went around. It's the left rear. I haven't even looked at it yet. I thought I'll look at it afterwards because it will put me in a bad mood.
Oh,
This isn't
no.
my car, but still, it doesn't matter. It's a press car, and I
Are
don't like.
they diamond cut or just black?
They are diamond cut. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no.
yeah. So Martin, if you are listening to this, and Chris, I am very sorry. I usually pride myself. I know we both do on not, we treat these
It's
cars
the
like our
worst.
they're our cars, and it's just But anyway,
And
life goes
because it's
on.
just go back. It's a bit like, I don't know. I've said this in the past. When I had that the Countryman JCW, I had that for 7 months.
Yep.
And it was being picked up on the Monday. The Friday before the Monday it was being picked up, I'm driving home over the nice road that comes up from South Harting, very near my house, like 4 miles from my house. And I was just sitting there going, God, this is probably the last drive I'm going to have of this car. I've loved having this car. Let's hope, it doesn't, I mean, it'd be really bad if a deer ran out right now. And literally, a deer ran out and smashed the front of the car in. But no, curbing a wheel is bad. Yeah.
Yep.
What you want is, Tracy did that to a press car and she got it fixed without telling me. And it went back. And then I found out like a month later.
Yeah, well, if I had the time, but yeah, I don't even know if it's so complex, isn't it? And I know certain manufacturers, some of the manufacturers, the press teams replace the wheel, the entire wheel. So if it gets a small curb, even if it's not like a machine finish, what did you call it?
Diamond cut.
Diamond cut. Even if it's not a diamond cut, if it gets a little nick or anything, they'll replace the whole wheel for safety reasons, and then drill holes in the old one and then destroy it basically, which I think is a bit excessive. But I guess it's got to be safe than sorry.
That would be like Porsche insisting that I changed a tire on my Boxster because I had a nail in the tire.
Yes.
I rang up Michelin and said, look, can you get me some tires? I've got a nail in the tire. And they said, where's the nail? I went, right in the middle of a tread block. I went, fix it.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting that so Michelin's view on that is a proper puncture repair is just as good as a new tire.
Yep.
And I said, well, I'm going on a drive tour and I might do a track day. And they went, doesn't matter as long as it's not too close to the sidewall. Porsche, new tire.
Yeah, it's a great policy, isn't it? Because Michelin could, if they wanted to make more money, they could just be like, no. But that's what the manufacturer wants to do. But then you kind of do see it from the manufacturer's point of view as well, because then it's like, they want to maximize whatever they can make money-wise out of you in your cars and getting a service.
But their argument would be a safety one. They say, it's safer, we'll just give you a new tire. And actually, that's not it's a bit like running a tire down to 1.6 mil instead of the 3 mil.
Exactly.
It's the same argument. But but that's not to do with curbing a wheel.
No.
Happens to the best of us, mate. I am so paranoid. I drive about 1.5 foot away from the curb. I cannot stand the thought of curbing wheels. I've got that ST. It's got bloody forged magnesium wheels. Oh man, can you imagine?
Don't.
Or carbon wheels.
The ST. Can we talk about the ST on next week's pod?
Definitely.
Can we both just talk about how amazing that car is and how much it hurts when you give it back?
I'll tell you what. I'll leave you alone for 5 minutes now while you can think in your own car about the ST. Kind of bit of No, don't. I don't need to know that. Stop it. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Joe's gonna enjoy himself and think about the ST. I'm gonna cut that video off. We're gonna stop the podcast right now. We'll see you on the next one. See you next week. Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
That vision's gonna stay with me forever.